Cindy Crawford wasn't just another supermodel. She was the stunning face that ruled magazines, runways, and television screens across the world. But behind the glamour was a woman chasing an impossible standard of perfection. Fame gave her wealth and power, yet it also pushed her toward decisions that came with a heavy price. She wasn't just living the dream, she was struggling to keep it from breaking apart, risking her career, her image, and her peace of mind. This is the story of a woman who bet everything on beauty and what she almost lost in return. Seizing the opportunity beginning in the 1980s and continuing through the 1990s, Cindy Crawford rose to the very top of the fashion world. She did not just stand as another model posing in magazines or walking down runways. She helped shape what people began to call the supermodel era. During this time, fashion models were no longer nameless figures. They started to hold a place in popular culture, standing next to movie stars and famous musicians in terms of recognition. Cindy Crawford became one of the leading faces of this new wave, and she stayed in the spotlight longer than many others who tried to reach the same height. Her story began in DeKalb, Illinois, where she was born on February the 20th, 1966. Her parents were Daniel Kenneth Crawford and Jennifer Sue Crawford. She grew up with two sisters, Chris and Danielle, and a brother named Jeffrey. Tragedy struck when Jeffrey passed away at the age of 3 from leukemia, a loss that left a mark on the family. Her roots stretched back deep into American history. On social media much later, she shared that her family had lived in the United States for many generations. Her ancestry was mostly German, English, and French. One branch of her family traced back to Thomas Trowbridge, an English Puritan settler who helped establish the Congregational Church in New Haven. Cindy was raised in the Congregationalist faith, and she often thought about how those religious traditions carried down through her family over centuries. Census records revealed even more detail. Her paternal great-grandfather, David Crawford, had been of Scottish ancestry, coming from Northern Ireland before settling in Wisconsin. In 2013, when she appeared on the show Who Do You Think You Are?, she even learned that she was directly descended from Charlemagne, linking her story back to one of the most powerful rulers in European history. Although her family history sounded extraordinary, her beginnings in modeling came through very ordinary events. In her second year of high school, she received what seemed like a serious call from a local clothing store asking her about modeling work. The call turned out to be a prank by two classmates, leaving her embarrassed. But fate turned around soon after. The next year, another store in her town actually hired several high school girls for a fashion shoot, and Cindy was among them. In her junior year, her path took another step forward when Roger Legal, a local photographer, approached her. He worked for the DeKalb Night Weekly, which featured a different college girl each week on the cover. He asked to photograph her for the magazine. The picture he took became her very first cover image. The response she received from people around her gave her the confidence to think seriously about modeling. She began to work with a small agency, which later was sold to Elite Model Management, one of the most powerful agencies in the world. By 1983, she entered Elite's Look of the Year contest at the age of 17 and reached the national finals, showing early signs of the career that was about to unfold. Meanwhile, at the same time, she was also strong in her studies. In 1984, she graduated from DeKalb High School as valedictorian, standing at the very top of her class. She earned an academic scholarship and enrolled at Northwestern University to study chemical engineering. For a short time, it seemed her future might follow a completely different path. But she soon realized that modeling opportunities were growing rapidly, and after one quarter, she dropped out to focus fully on her new career.
I was a good student, and then college is like the next level of that. And I started working a lot, and I just felt really like I couldn't do both well. So after one semester, I dropped out.
She began by working with the well-known Chicago photographer Victor Scribnesky. His guidance gave her early exposure in professional fashion circles. By 1986, she made the bold move to New York City, where the heart of the industry beat the strongest. There, she signed with Elite New York Modeling Agency, stepping into the global stage where she would soon dominate. Her official breakthrough came with her success in the Elite Look of the Year contest, which gave her a firm entry point into the competitive world of high fashion. Within months, her tall, athletic frame was featured on the cover of Vogue. That cover began a chain reaction. More magazines wanted her, more designers called her, more photographers requested her. From that point on, Cindy Crawford became not just a model, but a face recognized across the world. Her rise marked the change in how models were viewed. She showed that they could move beyond the limited role of wearing clothes for a shoot and instead become household names, admired and remembered by millions. She represented ambition, beauty, and resilience, all tied together by a remarkable story that began in a small town in Illinois and reached far beyond into history, culture, and fame. And that was the beginning of her stardom. Setting the standards. Cindy Crawford's rise to fame was built on a combination of features that appealed to both men and women, something that set her apart in a competitive world of fashion. Her figure, with its striking shape, drew strong admiration from men, while her approachable beauty, highlighted by her well-known facial mole, gave her an identity that women could connect with. She did not appear too perfect. Instead, she blended the extraordinary with the familiar, which made her even more appealing. Unlike many models in the 90s who carried waif-like frames, her athletic build, standing 5 feet 9.5 inches and weighing 130 pounds, gave her a stronger, healthier presence that made her stand out on runways and in magazines. In 1988, she made a daring choice by becoming the first of her kind, a modern fashion model, to pose nude in Playboy magazine. The decision pushed her career into new territory, mixing high fashion with exposure. Just a year later, her career reached another height when she became the host of House of Style, a popular fashion show on television that ran from 1989 to 1995. The program connected her to a wide audience and drew in not only fashion lovers, but also a surprising number of male viewers, nearly half of the show's audience. This balance widened her fame and made her a household name beyond magazines and runways. That same period brought her one of the most profitable deals of her career. In 1989, she signed a 4-year multi-million-dollar contract with Revlon. The partnership gave her international recognition and placed her face on products around the world. Soon after, in January 1990, she appeared on the cover of British Vogue with fellow top models Christy Turlington, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, and Tatiana Patitz. The cover became a milestone in fashion history. This moment expanded into something larger when the same group was asked to appear in George Michael's music video, Freedom 90. The video spread their faces across global screens and tied fashion directly to pop culture. The momentum did not stop there. In 1991, Gianni Versace brought the 4 leading models, including Crawford, to walk his couture runway while the same song played. The scene was powerful, with the models moving together in perfect rhythm, capturing the attention of everyone watching. The crowd responded with excitement, and many in the industry later marked this as the true beginning of the supermodel era. From that point forward, these women were known by first names alone, reaching a level of recognition that few models had achieved before. While many models relied solely on runway work and campaigns, Crawford began to branch out into other areas. She quickly earned a reputation for being highly strategic about her career. She created her own production company, Crawdaddy Incorporated, to oversee her projects and to keep control over her path. In 1992, she added a new dimension by releasing her first fitness video. This was the beginning of a trilogy that sold millions and proved that her appeal went far beyond magazines. She managed to tap into the growing fitness culture of the early 1990s and place herself at the center of it. The rise of supermodels only grew stronger in the early 1990s, and Crawford remained at the very front of it. Alongside a small circle of other famous faces, she became part of a group known simply as the Supers. These women dominated fashion runways and media headlines around the world. The phenomenon was so large that it reached into music. In 1993, RuPaul released a song titled Supermodel, showing just how easily recognized they had become. By 1995, Crawford's fame expanded even further when she appeared in a major Pepsi advertisement. The campaign became iconic and cemented her place in pop culture as well as fashion. That same year, Forbes magazine named her the highest-paid model in the world, highlighting the financial power she had built through careful career moves. But as the decade drew to a close, the reign of supermodels began to fade. The fashion industry shifted toward new directions, and the focus turned away from the global dominance of a few names. In 1998, Crawford once again chose Playboy for another nude shoot, this time to promote her television special. The program aimed to explore American attitudes toward physical intimacy, but it failed to attract strong ratings. Around the same time, Revlon ended its long partnership with her, closing a chapter that had lasted more than 10 years. By 2000, Crawford stepped away from full-time modeling. Her career had covered countless magazine covers and runways across the most prestigious labels, including Chanel, Valentino, and Christian Dior. She had reached the very top of her field and had managed to stretch her influence into television, fitness, and advertising, leaving behind a blueprint for models who followed. Her ability to shape her career in so many directions showed how she held on to opportunities, built new paths, and never allowed herself to be confined to one space. However, her story wasn't without controversy. The power of perception. In 2015, an image of Cindy Crawford began to spread online, drawing an enormous amount of attention. The photograph had been taken during a magazine shoot back in 2013, but the version that appeared on the internet looked very different from the glamorous images that were later published. In the image, Crawford's stomach no longer looked flat, and her thighs seemed less toned, creating a picture that stood in sharp contrast to her reputation as one of the most admired models of her era. What made the situation even more striking was the fact that in the official magazine spread, Crawford's midsection had been covered, and the accompanying video footage only showed her from the chest up. That detail made the leaked image even more suspicious, because it seemed to highlight areas that were hidden in the official material. The idea that an unretouched version of a famous model could exist in circulation was powerful, and the photo quickly spread online, where people debated whether it was real or not. John Russo, the photographer who had taken the original shots, came forward and explained his side of the story. According to him, the image that had surfaced had not come from the magazine, nor had it been shared legitimately. He claimed the file had been stolen, altered, and then shared with the public, but a doctored version designed to look unflattering. He pushed back against the story that it was a genuine, unedited photo, saying that it distorted reality. While Russo's explanation sought to defend both his work and the model, neither the magazine nor Crawford herself initially responded directly to his claims. This lack of response only added fuel to the discussion. At the same time, people began pointing to other pieces of evidence that seemed to show Crawford looking far fitter than the viral image suggested. One example was a photo shared by her husband, Randa Gerber, only days after the controversy started. In that shot, Crawford appeared in a bikini, and her body looked toned, slender, and far from the image that had been circulating online. Crawford herself eventually made it clear that she did not consider the viral picture an accurate reflection of her natural appearance. Reports suggested she even considered legal action because of the way the photo had been edited and distributed. In public, she admitted that she knew her body was not perfect, and she acknowledged that, like many women, she sometimes thought she looked worse than she did. But she also insisted that the viral image did not match what she actually saw when she looked at herself in the mirror. Although she would have preferred for the image never to have been publicized, Crawford began to see how it was being received by women around the world. Online discussions framed the photo as empowering because it seemed to reveal that even a supermodel could have imperfections. Many women said it made them feel better about their own bodies. Crawford recognized this response, even though she knew the picture itself had been manipulated. She pointed out that magazine images often make women feel inferior, even when that is not the intention. For that reason, the viral shot, whether real or fake, felt like a crack in the polished world of fashion, something that people could relate to. Yet the supermodel also admitted that the situation left her feeling manipulated and conflicted. She explained that she never spoke out forcefully about the photograph because doing so would have felt like turning against the people who took comfort in it. At the same time, she felt uneasy about embracing the image because she knew it did not reflect the truth. This left her caught in a difficult position, trying to balance honesty about her body with the emotions of those who felt inspired by what they thought they had seen. Behind the scenes, the photographer reassured her that the viral photo did not represent his real work. He told her that he would send her the actual original, which looked very different. That made it clear to her that the image had been intentionally manipulated to exaggerate flaws and spread a negative impression. Still, she stated that the positive reaction from many women complicated her feelings further since something false had produced something that seemed to help people. As the frenzy continued, Crawford eventually chose to look at the event through another lens. Around that time, she was preparing the release of her book, Becoming, and the incident gave her a way to frame a bigger lesson. She said that even though she was a grown woman who could handle the scrutiny, she decided to use the experience as a teaching moment. For her, it became an example of how perceptions can be shaped and how confidence must come from within rather than from what appears online or in magazines. But she wasn't done yet. Building a name.
Understanding your job as a model is to make the clothes look good or sell the Pepsi. Whatever you're doing, it's not really about you. Your job is to make that.
Cindy Crawford's career moved far beyond the runway. When she arrived at the top of the modeling world, the idea of a model promoting only fashion or beauty products started to fade. She broke through those limits and began to link her name with global companies in different industries. One of her earliest and most famous deals was with Pepsi. That partnership was worth millions and pushed her face into homes around the world. At the same time, she carried out her expected duties in the beauty world through a long-standing deal with Revlon. These projects showed her power in business, but her reach went even further. Her presence was considered so strong that a major television network, ABC, asked her to host a special on teen issues, using her name to draw attention. This moment showed how the word supermodel had grown into something larger than fashion, turning models into figures that shaped culture itself. By the middle of the 90s, the hype around supermodels reached its peak. Crawford became one of the leading names behind the launch of the Fashion Cafe, a theme restaurant that celebrated their fame. The cafe linked together models and entertainment. Among all of them, Crawford remained the most recognized. Her appeal combined an image that was both approachable and sensual, while her choices in media and business kept her visible everywhere. By the time the century ended, no other model held such a familiar place in the public eye. When the new century began, Crawford decided to step back. In 2000, she left full-time modeling, appearing only occasionally in magazine spreads. This shift did not slow her down as she quickly began shaping new ventures. In 2005, she partnered with Jean-Louis Sabag to launch a skincare line named Meaningful Beauty under Guthrie Renker. The project gave her a role in an industry where she already had strong influence. She openly explained how she used cosmetic procedures to maintain her look, including Botox and vitamin treatments. She had first visited a plastic surgeon at the young age of 29, showing how early she began taking steps to preserve her beauty. Her business ideas did not stop at skincare. That same year, she introduced the Cindy Crawford Home Collection, a furniture line produced by H.M. Richards, Inc. She played an active role in its design, helping to decide on the shape, colors, and styles that she felt families would want. The collection reflected her personal taste and made her a presence in homes across America. The success of the line pushed her into more partnerships, including furniture with Rooms to Go, Raymore and Flanagan, and a large home goods launch with J.C. Penney. Her face continued to appear in artistic projects as well. In 2009, she posed for Deborah Anderson in a special coffee table book called Room 23, created by philanthropist Diana Jenkins. She was chosen not only to appear in its pages, but also to be the cover model and even to write the dedication, linking her name tightly to the work. A few years later, she looked back on her own journey in print. In September 2015, she published Becoming, a book that detailed her life and career, written with Catherine O'Leary. Crawford also found her way onto television in lighthearted ways. On the United States version of Lip Sync Battle, she recreated her famous bathtub appearance from George Michael's Freedom 19, with actor Zachary Quinto delivering the song while she acted out the scene. Her ability to play with her own image kept her relevant for new generations. In April 2016, she appeared with her daughter Kaya on the cover of Vogue Paris. The image captured 2 generations of modeling in one frame and drew wide attention to Kaya's growing career. That same year, she also took on a new role as spokesperson for Acqua Minerale San Benedetto in Italy, proving that international brands still look to her for influence. The following year, in September 2017, she returned to the runway for one of the most emotional fashion shows of the decade. Alongside Claudia Schiffer, Naomi Campbell, Helena Christensen, and Carla Bruni, she closed the Versace Spring-Summer 2018 show, which honored the late designer Gianni Versace. Even outside fashion and beauty, she kept her hand in ventures that tied her to tradition and culture. In January 2019, she joined her husband Randa Gerber and several partners to purchase Nathan Al, a Hollywood deli that had been run by the same family for 3 generations. By investing in the restaurant, they helped to keep its doors open and preserve a piece of Los Angeles history. Years later, her role in shaping the supermodel era was revisited in a large project. On September 20, 2023, Apple TV Plus released a 4-part docuseries called The Supermodels. The series featured Crawford alongside Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, and Linda Evangelista. The project traced how these women rose to global fame and how their careers changed the fashion industry. Crawford's journey showed how a model could grow into a brand and how that brand could touch nearly every corner of popular culture.